Hey y'all, Jill here. Welcome back. Today we are about to head out into the garden and harvest some radishes that are well overdue. But I have been trying to save enough and then I went out of town, and so I have officially got enough to make some fermented radishes for my husband in time for Thanksgiving, and he's pretty excited. I'm pretty excited. And I was thinking about doing this video last night. I was laying in bed and I thought, oh, I'm not sure that I can ferment them with the material that I have on hand. I didn't have like fermenting lids and stuff like that. And I was like, well, I'll just see if I can't make it work. And I headed to the post office this morning, and a sweet viewer, Phyllis, had sent me these easy fermenting pop top lids. So Phyllis, thank you. This came at a wonderful time. So this is actually what I'm going to be using. But let's head in the kitchen and grab a bowl and then go out into the garden and harvest some radishes. I love when my harvest bowl matches my cup of coffee. Look at that, y'all. Old dog pottery right there, sporting all the things. Nathan actually bought me this bowl for my birthday. Isn't it so pretty? I just absolutely love it. Do you want to come pick some radishes with me?
Uh-huh.
You do? What are you working on?
A project. I'm making everybody a picture. Right now I'm making mirrors.
That's beautiful. Well, do you want to keep working on that or come pick some radishes?
Go fit some radishes.
Okay, let's go. Our radishes have just been so good this year. I mean, I've harvested so many already. If you've been watching my garden tours, you know I've been harvesting quite a few. But I just keep re-sowing them, and our weather has just been allowing it, which I'm really, really grateful for. Do you have your bowl?
Uh-huh.
You see some ready?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at those. Those are good and ready.
Oh, I see a bunch of them. I already see 4 of them ready.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you going to pick them?
Uh-huh.
Oh, there you go. Let me see. All right, you're going to knock off the dirt. Can you do that before you put it in the bowl? There we go. Charlie, that's a good radish. You grew that. Can you believe that?
Really?
Yeah, remember you sowed all of these seeds. How's that make you feel?
It makes me feel like Snow White.
So thankfully with these are the white icicle. I got them from Haas Tools. As you guys can see, they're this nice oblong shape. So it'll be no big deal for me to just cut these up in spears like I would pickles, even in these, which is really nice. I'm thinking though, for some of the yellow ones that I have that are round, will you go get me one of those round radishes down there? They'll be yellow. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do those because you can't really do them in spears. So I'm hoping I might just be able to dice them up or something. I'm not even really sure that it matters. I'm just thinking about like eating preference. It'd be a lot easier just to eat like this spear. There you go. Yeah, so these, obviously these are round. I may do these in like thin slices, like just circular slices. That would probably work. This is totally new to me. I've never fermented anything other than like kombucha before. So I'm excited. Charlie's gonna help me, which will be fun too, huh?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she's a good garden helper. All right, let's get to finish picking.
Okay.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time.
All right, y'all, we've got a pretty big bowl of radishes. After I take these and cut the tops off, we will go give those to the rabbits, which will be a nice little treat. So I really enjoy growing radishes for the fact too that we can just take the tops and feed to the rabbits and they enjoy them. But hold your bowl, Charlie. That's a good bowl of radishes. Good job, sis. All right, I need you to wash these really good. So just run them underneath here. Make sure all the dirt's off, especially off the end, okay?
Okay.
And then just stick them on the cutting board for Mom. Can you do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful. to be.
While Charlie is rinsing off the radishes, I just wanted to kind of tell you guys some of the benefits of eating fermented foods, why we like to eat fermented foods. I have personally never made anything like this. However, we eat kimchi, which is like fermented cabbages and peppers and carrots and garlics and all sorts of stuff. We eat that every single day. We throw it in, whether it's just on top of our meat, in a salad or whatever, just because there are so many benefits that come from eating fermented foods. Much like kombucha, they are really great for just, digestion, inflammation, overall gut health, which is why we try to incorporate the fermented foods as often as possible. And something like a fermented radish is really easy just to kind of, eat on top of a salad or eat with your meat, and they're really easy to grow. When you're thinking about being cost friendly, growing your own radishes and fermenting them yourself is definitely giving yourself the most bang for your buck versus going and buying the fermented foods. Kimchi, where we are, is not cheap for like a pint. It's like $8 for a pint, and that may be super reasonable compared to where you are, but here in the South, just fermented foods cost a lot. So just being able to grow my own food and then ferment it myself is really one of those things that I've just been wanting to jump into and explore with more. Thankfully, I grow radishes in the time of year where I'm able to kind of have that downtime and dabble in this. So I'm excited to share this recipe with you guys. I will link below where this recipe came from. It is not my own. This came from Deanna at homesteadandchill.com. She has lots of great recipes. My sourdough starter, which I'm hoping to do a video on that soon, is also her recipe. She's a wealth of knowledge. She lives in California. She grows, okay, just turn the water off. There you go. She grows all sorts of stuff, and honestly just is a wealth of knowledge. So I'll link her Instagram below and her YouTube where you guys can go check her out, and this recipe, which will be on her website. But are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
You got them all clean? All right, let's do it. Look at all of those beautiful radishes. Charlie, you cleaned them so well. So what I am doing right now is I am just cutting off the top part of this, and it is going in the compost bucket to take out to the compost and to the chickens and the rabbits, and then I'm just cutting the ends off. And then, like I said, this recipe, you can cut them however. I'm going to probably spear some of these, and then these will just be cut circular. So let's jump onto this real quick. Encourage you guys, let your kids get out in the garden and plant things that are easy for them and you're not worried. And for me, radishes are one of the things. Charlie planted every single radishes I have out in the garden. She planted, and she really enjoyed it. She enjoys harvesting them. And sometimes, I'll be honest, when it comes to like our big long canning days where I'm spending all day in the kitchen canning, tomatoes or pickles, she typically just plays because I have a lot of different things going on in the kitchen, and it is just easier to, knock those things out. However, things like this with the small batches of fermenting radishes, I let her help with that because she loves being in the kitchen. Nathan lets her help him cook breakfast every single weekend. So I enjoy finding things that I can let them get involved in. If she's showing her interest and, telling me, hey mom, I want to help you with this, I never want to deny her that opportunity to be creative, to explore, to get her hands dirty and learn and ask questions. If your kids are showing interest and they want to get involved, I encourage you, find something that you guys can do together that is not overwhelming, that's not going to have y'all in the kitchen for hours on end. For me, this is a quick little fermented radish recipe. It allows her to get her hands dirty. It allows her to hang out with me in the kitchen while June's down for a nap. And so, I don't know, it's little moments like these that I really appreciate, and it seems like, oh man, so refreshing. And I just want to encourage you guys, do it with your children. It's fun, and I know that even though this may take me a little bit longer, it'll definitely be worth all the memories that were made today. I was going to cut these into spears, and then as I was reading the recipe, I thought, maybe I just won't. So I went ahead and just cut them into little circular as you guys can see here. I just think it'll be easier, especially trying to pack as much as I can. This recipe calls for just 1 bunch of radishes. Thank you, Charlie. And I'm using more than that, so I was like, well, I've still got a ton of these icicle radishes out there. But I'm just gonna go ahead, just to make it easy for this recipe, I just went ahead and cut these in, you know, little circular slices. So the recipe calls for 1 bunch of fresh radishes. I've used more than that. It also calls for kosher or sea salt, a clove of garlic. This is the garlic that I actually grew this year, which is really gratifying. So everything I'm using in here, the herbs and everything, are gonna be like the dill. I actually dried that, I believe. I've got some saved and I'll pull from that. But it's really nice just knowing that I'm able to source everything that's in this from our own farm. I'm like, oh yeah, good job. So I think that's actually pretty cool. If you can't do that, of course, that's totally fine. Work with what you got, it's no big deal. This recipe you can do with pint or quart jars. I am using a quart jar because I have so many, and I'm not even sure, I may need to do like a quart and then a pint. But if you're gonna use a whole clove of garlic, just make sure that you're doing 1 clove per quart. So if you're just gonna do a pint, I'd probably just like cut that in half or something. So I went and grabbed my wide mouth ball mason jar. The recipe calls for 1 bunch of dill. I don't have fresh dill, so I'm using about a tablespoon of dried dill. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw it in here. Do you want to help me with that? All right, dump it in. Good job. This is when I'm going to add in my garlic. If you wanted to maybe kick it up a notch, you could add in like chili flakes, peppercorn, stuff like that. If I was just making these for only Nathan, I would do it spicy, and I may actually go in and like make him a spicier one. But I am wanting the kids to try to eat some of these, and I would like to, and we just don't. The kids just don't like spicy stuff. So I'm gonna make this one normal, if you will, and then kind of see what I need to tweak, and then the next batch maybe kick it up a notch, add some different things. So by all means, use this time to kind of experiment. If you want to add different seasonings, by all means throw them in. It's not going to hurt anything. Now that I have the dill and the garlic in here, I am going to be taking the radishes and just stuffing them in as much as I can. Something that I am keeping in mind, when you're doing brine fermenting, which is what I am, we're going to take the salt and the water in a second and do that on the stove, and then we're going to pour the brine on this. Same with you would like for pickles or something like that. I know that because of the instructions with these lids, I'm going to leave about 1 to 2 inches of space at the top, just because it is fermented and things can explode when there's fermenting happening. So with a liquid brine for these fermenting lids in particular, I'm just going to leave 1 to 2 inches from the top. So we'll fill up probably around this mark or something. Now I am trying to really cram as much in here as I can. I have one of these sauerkraut pounders, and what I'll actually do is once I get that in there good, I'll come through and kind of make sure that I can get as many in here as possible. Same with you would. I am kind of like learning that this is very similar to like canning, as far as, you know, when you're making pickles or tomatoes, you try to squeeze all those cucumbers and all the little nooks and crannies in your jar, and this is very similar to doing that. It's so fun though. I love learning new things. Sometimes I'm not always good at it, but I do enjoy attempting and trying, and then I always feel really proud of myself whenever I've done it well. It's just one of those sense of accomplishments that I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I knew nothing about this, did a little research, had all the right tools, and I made it happen. So this is one of those things. I have dreamed of fermenting for a while, and the fact that I'm actually able to dabble into it, I'm actually really excited about that. But let's make the brine. You are then going to take 2 cups of water and turn it on your stove. You're also going to go ahead and add your tablespoon of salt. You're not gonna let it come to a boil. You really just want that salt to dissolve, and then you're going to just let it set at room temperature. You do not want to pour hot water onto your ferment. So for me, I'm just gonna turn it on like medium. I'm not ever gonna get it, you know, let it get really hot. As soon as I see that salt starting to dissolve, I'm just going to pull it off the stove and probably let it set for a good 10 to 15 minutes. Now that the salt has dissolved and I've brought this back down to room temperature, I am simply just going to pour this over. If you don't have enough, all of your radishes should be fully submerged. So if that's not the case, just go ahead and make some more. This should be enough. This is a quart jar, and as you can see, I had plenty to cover mine. You do just want to go through, same with you with a canning, a knife, you know, fork if you have a pounder, just to kind of get all of those air bubbles out. You guys can see there's quite a bit of air in there, so I'm just going to go through with my knife, try to release some of that. Oh my gosh, this smells really good. There we go. The key to this is you just want to make sure that the brine is covering all of the radishes, especially before you put your lid on. So once you've released all those air bubbles, even if you don't have one of those pounders, just use a spoon or something that you can to try to get all that to go down. For mine, they're pretty covered, but I'm just gonna go ahead and push this down really good. That worked great. Yay, that was awesome. Okay. Now you're going to add your lids. They do not have to be these fermenting lids. Any type of fermenting lid that you have is completely fine. You are going to put your lid on and then let this sit on your counter for 7 to 14 days. The really cool thing about these lids, I'm not sure if y'all can see, you can actually set however many days. I don't know if y'all can see that well, but it goes 1 through 31, which is really nice. So I'm gonna go through here. I'm gonna put it on day 7 and just kind of see what it looks like, but knowing that it can go longer, I really like that. That's really cool. You want this to sit at room temperature, so ideally that's like 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. If you live in a place where it's really cold right now and your house isn't staying above 70 or 75 degrees, you could just set this on a heat mat, which is actually what I have going on over here with my sourdough. My house stays colder than that during the day usually, and so I just added a heat mat over there. That way my sourdough stayed nice and comfortable. But you're just going to secure your lid on there really good, whatever that looks like, making sure that the brine is above all the radishes. So once your 7 to 14 days are up, you can just remove your fermenting lid, pop on a regular lid, and put it in the fridge. These are good for several months. They can even be good for up to a year, is what Deanna's recipe says, as long as there's no obvious signs of mold or something like that. But y'all, that was really stinking easy. When you think about like pickling, so I know the process that it would go like to just can my cucumbers for pickles and stuff. This process is way easier. Now if I can keep my fingers crossed and it tastes good, this may be a game changer to me. I mean, look how pretty that is. Nathan is going to be so excited whenever he comes home. But thank you guys for making these quick, easy fermented radishes, for hanging out with me and Charlie in the garden and in the kitchen. We just really enjoy hanging out with you guys. So thank you. I'll talk to you soon.